Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and today we are going to talk about and spotlight all the AFC divisions. Yes, the final spotlight segment of the season before we get into the 2025 NFL regular season. This is the final week of preseason. We have one more week of training camps, teams prepping, getting ready for kickoff. And the closer we get to the season officially fully started, I'm talking regular season. I know we already started. We're in preseason, training camps happening, all that stuff. But Thursday night, in a week and a half, the Eagles and Cowboys kick off the 2025 NFL season. Just thinking about that gives me goosebumps. Because I love football. I love football so much, I make it a all year round thing. I have to fix my piercing. Oh, it's weird. An all year round thing. I listen to shows, podcasts. I watch old games during the off season. Some of you may think I'm nuts, but for fantasy football, the day after the Super Bowl, I start doing my scouting for the following year. By the way, I have my fantasy football draft is tonight. I am super excited. For a league that I've been in, this is my 4th season in this league. Last year was my worst year ever. Started the year 0-7. Terrible. Hoping for a better bounce back year this year. But I start my scouting on who I'm going to think about drafting in the following draft. And I couldn't tell you how many notebooks I go through in that process. Yes, I said notebooks, not just sheets of paper. Notebooks for scouting for fantasy football. That's how much I love football, and that's how much I am nuts about the sport. When I say I study this game every day, I study this game every day. Do I sit here and think that I know everything? No, I don't know everything. Never would make that claim. Would never make the claim that I know everything. But I love it, and I have a passion for it. I love doing this show for you guys every Sunday. When I'm not here at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday, man, last week didn't go live until 4 p.m. because my computer crashed out. I had to get a new one. Was very upset to the fact that I was not here at 11 a.m. So when I say I love football, I love football. I love talking football. I love watching football. I love the football video games. I just recently started trading card collecting. It's a very small collection. It's going to grow. It will. But I started collecting trading cards again. But enough about that. We are in the final week of the preseason. We have a couple games on the slate today, I believe. I didn't have my schedule pulled up. That's bad preparation on my part. Bad preparation on my part to not have today's schedule pulled up as far as who's on the preseason docket for today. Had a couple games on Thursday night, a couple games on Friday, a couple games yesterday. And, preseason's done. That's it. Every team has played. So, no, preseason's over. It's done. College football kicked off yesterday. Super excited about that. I listened to the Iowa State-Kansas State game yesterday when I was at work. Man, what a fumble fest that game was. I swear, every time I got out of my truck to deliver a package and got back into my truck, whoever was on offense fumbled the ball. There was a statistic that I believe it was Kansas State only fumbled the ball 4 times last season. Yesterday fumbled the ball 3 times in the first half. Imagine going a whole season fumbling the ball 4 times. And then you come back the following year and in your very first game of the season, fumbling the ball 3 times in the first half of a game. You fumbled the ball 90% of what you fumbled in a whole season in one half. Crazy. crazy. But college football kicked off yesterday. Super excited that college football kicked off yesterday. And me and John, my co-host here on the Huddle Hub podcast, we do a pick challenge every year. Okay? And this involves the NFL, obviously. What we do is we pick each game, and we see who can get the most right. Okay? And John has, and he's the pick master for a reason. He has beaten me the past, I think, 5 seasons in this thing. He is on like a 5-season win streak right now. It may be more. I might be wrong. And I said to him yesterday, I said, you better be ready because this year I'm coming to take that title. I am fully prepped to come take that title this year. Not only that, came up with this really cool idea to involve college football for our pick challenge this year. And how we are going to do this, and you guys are going to be able to hear about it on the show here. It's not something that we're going to keep off camera or behind the scenes or anything like that. This is going to let you guys know how this pick challenge is going on because we are going to present it here on the Huddle Hub podcast. Okay? How it goes is starting in week 1 next week, because this week was week 0. Why college football just doesn't deem week 0 week 1, I don't know. But starting in week 0 or week 1 next week, okay, John's going to pick a team from the top 25. I'm going to pick a team from the top 25. We can only pick that team once. So, for example, if John picks Ohio State next week, that's it. He cannot pick Ohio State anymore throughout the whole year. He's either going to gain a win or gain a loss from that. And we're going to see who can pick the most winners out of the year, out of the top 25. It's a fun little challenge. The record is going to be, I mean, you got to think 14 weeks into the season. So, he can go 7-6. I can go 5-8. We're going to see how we do with this. And if it goes really well, we'll up the ante next year. We'll up the ante next year. I don't know what just happened. Something just started playing. But I muted it. But we'll up the ante next year if it goes well, which I feel like it's going to go well. But what I got on the docket for you guys today is the final spotlight segment of the year. We're going to do all the AFC divisions, okay? The AFC East, West, South, North, all the teams. And I'm going to let you guys know what I expect from each team in 2025 and who my focus players are, just like me and John have been doing for the past couple weeks, the focus, the spotlight of each team in each division. And we are also going to go through all of the news that's happening in the world of football. But before we get into the news segment, I need you guys to please head over to all the Huddle Hub podcast social medias right now on X, on TikTok, at the Huddle Hub Pod. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're not watching on YouTube, head over to the Huddle Hub podcast YouTube right now at the Huddle Hub Pod and hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. You don't have to pay nothing. It's free. That's how you follow on YouTube. If you are not on Twitch, at the Huddle Hub podcast, hit that follow button on the Twitch channel. And all the links to all of our social medias are in the description, in the bio of the Huddle Hub podcast for all the other social medias. You click on the link and it will take you to each social media. And please help us build the Huddle Hub podcast going into and beyond the 2025 NFL season. So let's get into the news coming out of the world of football. A lot to cover, a lot to talk about. And number one, some news came across this morning. Literally happened about an hour ago. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings have made a trade. The Eagles will be receiving quarterback Sam Howell and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick, and the Vikings are receiving a 2026 fifth-round draft pick and a 2027 seventh-round draft pick. This trade coming in the wake of the fact that Tanner McKee, the Eagles' backup quarterback, is dealing with a nagging injury in his throwing hand. That's the word that's coming out. I don't know how official that is, because I really didn't get the chance to dig deep into, what's going on with Tanner McKee. All this news is literally coming out as we speak. So this is all basically new news, and the Eagles traded for Sam Howell, who looks like is going to be the backup quarterback in Philadelphia until Tanner McKee is healthy and ready to go. So I'll say this. The Vikings have been very busy this week. Very, very busy when it comes to trading. And here's the thing, and here's the reason why, is because there is word right now that the Vikings are in search of a veteran wide receiver, pretty much to help out and take pressure off of Justin Jefferson. I heard that Justin Jefferson was dealing with some type of injury as well that may cause him to miss the opening weekend. So they're in search of a veteran wide receiver. They also traded with the Jets this week. The Vikings received a 2026 and 2027 sixth-round draft pick for defensive tackle Harrison Phillips. Harrison Phillips getting sent to the Jets. The Vikings have a lot of focus on getting Adam Thielen from Carolina. Now, we know Adam Thielen used to play in Minnesota. Thielen left. He's in Carolina now. He's been in Carolina for the past couple seasons. He's dealt with some injuries himself that kept him out for half of a season. But the Vikings are very interested in bringing Thielen back. It seems like Thielen, as far as what I'm hearing, Thielen is down to go back to Minnesota. Loved it in Minnesota. So it's pretty much like, just make this happen. But it's all about what Carolina's looking for. What are the Panthers looking for in order to make this happen? You got to remember, Adam Thielen's been in the league for a while now. He's been a producer for the Panthers. But the Vikings, who are looking for that veteran help, they're looking for a key guy because of the fact that Justin Jefferson may not make it to week 1. May not be playing in week 1. Now, me and John are going to do our predictions next week, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I do not have a lot of high hopes for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't. There's very many unknowns when it comes to the Vikings, because last year the Vikings went into the unknown. Kirk Cousins gets sent out to Atlanta. Sam Darnold comes in to be the starter. We knew Sam Darnold didn't have the best start to his career because he hopped around the league, the Jets, the Panthers, the 49ers. So it was like, okay, Sam Darnold was playing this backup role, but out in San Francisco, he did amazing. Brock Purdy went down. Sam Darnold came in. Sam Darnold lit up the statistics board. The Vikings come along and see that he's available. All right, let's bring in Sam Darnold. And you didn't think for 1 second Sam Darnold was going to be the starter out in Minnesota. You thought, okay, maybe they'll get the deal done with Kirk, or maybe they find another veteran quarterback to bring in and be the starter. But no, they rode with Sam Darnold. And look where it took them, 14-3, second in the division, had the 5th seed in the playoffs, got bumped from the playoffs against the Rams out in Arizona in the wild card round. It was basically a repeat of the year before when they got bumped by the Giants. Or 2 years before. But you guys know what I mean. So now they're riding with rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy, who's in his second year with the team. I don't want to say second year playing because we know he was injured. We knew he was out. So that's the unknown. Number one is J.J. McCarthy 100% good from his injury. Because last year, Kirk Cousins going out to Atlanta, we've seen how, Kirk Cousins at the beginning of the year, he had some struggles, not a lot of struggles. A lot of his struggles came towards the back end of the year. It was almost after their bye week. He came in and started throwing massive amounts of interceptions during games. 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions, 2 interceptions. So that was a back end of the year. And could his injury have been affecting him? It could have been. It could have been. And it probably was. So I don't have high expectations for the Vikings, regardless on whether they're able to bring in Adam Thielen or not. Because again, how's Adam Thielen going to be? With coming in coming into Minnesota, how's he going to be? How's he going to be in Carolina if he sticks around in Carolina? We don't know. But we're definitely keeping an eye on this, as it seems like the Vikings are getting closer to closing out the deal with the Panthers to bring Adam Thielen out to Minnesota. They're opening up some space to make a trade with the Panthers. They're stacking up draft picks to be able to do this. So we'll have to see if it happens. Maybe it happens today. Who knows? A couple moves and a couple decisions are being made today. So we'll have to see. But speaking of the Vikings, pending on Daniel Jones's playing time, the team could get a 4th-round compensatory pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. This coming off the heels of Daniel Jones being named the starter out in Indianapolis for Week 1. So the Vikings are very much benefiting this week, not only in trades, but with, other moves that have happened in the past 365 days. Because Daniel Jones, as we know, got traded from the Giants to the Vikings after he got benched out in New York, literally gets benched out in New York, gets placed on the practice team, and minutes later gets traded to the Vikings. Now the Vikings are benefiting off of this because pending on Daniel Jones's playing time, they can get a 4th-round compensatory pick in the draft. And it may not be that big of a deal. It's a 4th-round pick, but sometimes 4th-round picks, as we know, can pan out. We've seen many late draft picks pan out in other positions. If you want to account for the quarterback position, the 2 biggest successes in the past 20 years beyond the 2nd round as a quarterback, Tom Brady, Brock Purdy. There's a couple other quarterbacks out there that have been picked after the 2nd round that have had success. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champion. Brock Purdy's been to the Super Bowl. A couple NFC championship games. So it's not like late round draft picks at the quarterback position are necessarily a bad thing. I mean, right now, if you're paying attention to what's happening out in Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders, he's I wouldn't even sit there and say he's surprising a lot of people. He's pushing up the statistics during these preseason games. But again, these are just preseason games. These are against 2nd, 3rd, and guys that are going to be on the practice team. It's going to be all about what they do against, first teamers, starters. Now, a lot of people are saying that and thinking that Shedeur Sanders will be the starter out in Cleveland by week 7 or 8. Is that a possibility? Probably. If I was Cleveland, though, if you're sitting at, 1-6, 1-7, and you're out of the playoffs, I would probably think about keeping Joe Flacco in. Because do you really want to throw Shedeur Sanders out to the Wolves if you're 1-7? A lot of people have that thought process of, if the Browns are out of the playoff hunt and everything, then throw Shedeur out there. But then you risk injury. You risk all types of things that can go wrong. And then there goes your future. And yeah, you have Dylan Gabriel, but there have been a lot of whispers about trade offers coming in for Dylan Gabriel. How true that is, I don't know, but it's I've been reading about it. I've been seeing it out there on the realm of the internet. I always say the same thing. Don't believe what you read on the internet. Don't believe everything. And I don't. But when you see different sources saying the same thing, then it's like you start kind of wondering, is this true? So, who knows? But the Vikings benefiting from Daniel Jones being named the starter out in Indianapolis. Pending on the playing time, they get the 4th-round compensatory pick. So the Vikings are kind of keeping their fingers crossed that Daniel Jones makes it through the full season. Because a full season guarantees them the compensatory pick. That's that. I don't think a playoff berth or a playoff game is involved in this offer. I think it's all just regular season stuff. But yeah, we'll have to see. Joe Flacco, quarterback of the Browns, he definitely was named the starter out in Cleveland, as I mentioned. That literally happened on like Sunday afternoon last week, like right as soon as we got off air last week, or I got off air last week. Joe Flacco was named the starter. Monday morning it was announced, basically. But, we seen that coming. You don't bring Joe Flacco in. Okay, when you look at successful quarterbacks out in Cleveland, it is very few far and beyond. Right? Baker Mayfield. Joe Flacco comes in as the 5th quarterback 2 seasons ago. After going through 4 quarterbacks, taking the Browns to the playoffs, winning comeback player of the year. I mean, why wouldn't you name Joe Flacco your starter after the success that he had coming back in to Cleveland and taking your team to the playoffs? Now he's back. I mean, it's when he got signed by Cleveland, I was like, he's their starter. That there's no way you're bringing Joe Flacco back with all of these young quarterbacks on your roster and thinking he's going to ride the pine. He's going to be on the bench. That's not happening. Matthew Stafford, quarterback of the Rams, he returned to practice this week. He said the back is feeling good. Is he ready for week 1 yet? That's still a mystery because, like I said 2 weeks ago, back injuries don't necessarily always get better. They could get worse. And it all depends on where the injury is. If it's in your L4, L5, then that's rough. I have L4, L5 problems, and I'll tell you what. It sucks. It's terrible. But Stafford right now is practicing and, trying to be ready for week 1. Xavier Howard, the free agent cornerback, he signed with the Colts for 1 year worth $5 million. So the Colts end up picking up some help on the defensive side of the ball. Xavier Howard, the cornerback. Cam Newton, quarterback, retired quarterback. His jersey number is going to be retired out in Auburn this year during a regular season game. So I don't know what game that's going to happen, but it was announced that his number out in Auburn is going to be retired, if anybody cares. Cool. Congrats, Cam Newton. I mean, I don't know how far I can go with that. Just congratulations. And I'm not trying to be smart about it. I literally mean congratulations. I do. Brian Robinson Jr. The news came down on Friday that he was traded to the 49ers, running back from the Commanders. This is my big question, okay? Because Brian Robinson Jr. did not play on Monday Night Football against the Bengals, okay? And he was put on the trade block. He was. So the Commanders had the sense of, we're going to trade Brian Robinson Jr. It was all about where he was going to go, okay? And then the news comes down on Friday that he's traded to the 49ers. There's a couple other players that didn't play in preseason where there's plans of them getting traded. A lot of people expect the Commanders to do what they did last year. The Commanders had a pretty surprising season. They went 12-5, second in the NFC East, went all the way to the conference championship game, losing to the Eagles. Okay. A lot of people expect the Commanders to repeat the season they had last year. How are you going to do that if you are getting rid of your talent that pretty much helped you get to that point? We know Brian Robinson Jr. in his first 3 seasons has dealt with injuries. The playing time was minimal. But Brian Robinson Jr. was a part of that team last year. He played a significant role on that team last year. Okay? He was your starting running back, your biggest running back on your roster. You just send him off. And now Terry McLaurin, who has not yet received his contract, is on the market as well. So you're going to rely on Deebo Samuels, who had a rough go in San Francisco the past 2 seasons, injuries, all types of stuff happening out in San Francisco for Deebo. Okay. Zach Ertz, who is in the twilight of his career at tight end, has even mentioned that, there's a possibility that when he retires, coming back to Philadelphia and signing the one deal and saying, hey, it's, that's a pretty evident thing. He won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, and normally players will sign with the team they won a Super Bowl with to make the retirement official. Plus, he's got so much going on in the city of Philadelphia still to this day. Jaden Daniels is not going to be able to carry this team for 17 games. Now, do I expect the Commanders to possibly be in the postseason? Yeah, I do. But to go 12-5 or better? No. I'll give you guys this spoiler right now. Me and John are doing our predictions next week. I have the Commanders going 10-7. I do. And the 7th seed in the playoffs. That's a spoiler. Okay. So I don't know what the Commanders expect to do this year with the fact that they are literally unloading the players that they had on their team last year that helped them, most of the players that helped them get to where they need to be. And I said it that there was a lot of turnaround out in Washington this year to where they don't have the full-on same team they had. So I don't have those expectations for Washington. And the 10 wins that I expect Washington to get are going to be all, one score, final drive. Jaden Daniels carries this team on their back and wins those games. But the 49ers were not done as far as the trade dealing this week. They also traded for Sky Moore, the wide receiver from Kansas City. The 49ers also received a 2027 7th-round draft pick, and in return, the Chiefs got a 2027 6th-round draft pick. Again, you guys are probably thinking, like, hey, these players, they're pretty good. Like, why are they going so cheap? Okay, you got to think of this. Is some of these players, they're either on their last year of their contract, or it's all about that cap space money. And what's it going to be worth getting for us to lose this money? Okay. So, for example, Brian Robinson Jr., who could have been on the last year, I believe he was on the last year of his contract. I believe, yeah, because he's on the last year of his rookie contract, I believe. So instead of Washington saying, hey, we're going to give this guy a full-fledged contract, 3 years, $46 million, let's just trade him now and leave it in the hands of another team. And we'll take a 6th or 7th round draft pick. That's fine. Because we got 7 other running backs on our roster. We got to cut 3 or 4 of them and keep the other 3 that are our best running backs and determine who's going to be the guy for the next 3 or 4 years. But not only that, there's going to be running backs that end up on the market that may be affordable for us because, as we know, cap space goes up again next year. So, smart move by Washington in a sense for Brian Robinson Jr. because of the fact of the injuries. And the Chiefs trading Sky Moore. I mean, Sky Moore, he's had his burst of success as far as in games, against the 49ers 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. Made key plays. So it's all about that decision making with money, cap space, draft picks, what this player is going to do for us moving forward. Are they injury prone? Are they not injury prone? Are they worth it? Are they not worth it? All that stuff. As far as the trades, the Jets and Browns also traded. The Jets are receiving defensive tackle Juwan Briggs and a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. The Browns in return got a 2026 seventh-round draft pick. Again, another move as far as where the contract lies. Is it the last year of the contract? They're making that decision whether they want to pay the guy or not. That's all this is. Demarcus Robinson, wide receiver of the 49ers. More news coming out of San Francisco. Not only are the 49ers dealing with injuries from players, they're also dealing with players getting suspended for 3 games. Demarcus Robinson was suspended for 3 games this season for the substance abuse policy. Listen, I get it that certain thing, we know what's legal nowadays. And I personally have nothing against it. But you are getting ready to play a football season. That's no breaking news. That's just my fantasy baseball thing going off, by the way, if you heard that. You're getting ready to go play a season, okay? And it's understandable that you go home, you want to relax, all that stuff, and do what you got to do and do what you want to do. But then you got to remember that you may have to go into work and pee in a cup. I'm just saying. And the thing is there's some, places and jobs that are not acceptable to it. The NFL is one of them. Baseball is one of them. Now, are they against it? Probably not. But they don't want players going on the field who are under the influence. Why? Because other players' lives are on the line. Other players are risking their life to go out and throw pads and helmet on and hit each other. Plus, your own safety is at risk. So be smart. You got all these days of the offseason to, put the weed in a coconut and light that shit up. You know what I mean? Like, you got all these days during the off season to do so. Wait until then. So for him to get suspended for this, if that's the case, it's understandable. It is. It's understandable. Sucks, doesn't it? Now you're not going to be able to play for 3 games because you decided to. It is what it is. Trevon Diggs, defensive back of the Cowboys, he's going to possibly miss week 1 of the regular season due to a knee injury he suffered during the Cowboys' final preseason game. Tough go for the Cowboys. Let's talk about the Cowboys for a second. Now, the Cowboys are lining up to try and have a very successful season this year. I mean, they go out and they trade for George Pickens. Making moves to make things better out in Dallas. Okay. And Dallas, for the most part, is like the laughing stock of the league right now. They are. And it's because of the decision by one Jerry Jones. And the biggest decision right now is Micah Parsons. Okay. Now, there's a video out there of Micah Parsons walking into the Cowboys-Falcons game. By the way, Micah Parsons had some type of deal happen during the Cowboys-Falcons game this weekend, and he's going into the office to talk about it today. What's going to come of it, we don't know. But check this clip out of Micah Parsons walking into the game. So you see the fan standing there holding the camera, taking video of Micah, and they say, "Come to Atlanta, Micah." One more time. fan says, come to Atlanta, Micah, and you see Micah go like this. Okay. Indicating, hey, call my agent. Now, Jerry Jones did reveal this week that there was a deal set on the table. Him and Micah sat down, made a decision about what they were going to do as far as the contract. All it needed to do be signed, sealed, and delivered. That was it. So they were that close. And then the agent gets involved. Agent literally told Jerry Jones, take that contract and stick it up your ass. So a deal was ready to be done, Cowboys fans. Just let y'all know, and you probably know this because this was like national news. Deal was done, ready to go. The agent, right in the middle of it. Now, the question lies is how much does Micah Parsons want to be a Cowboy? Because in this video right here, he's eating nachos walking into the fucking locker room, people. That tells me he is checked out in Dallas. Checked out. He's not focused on what's about to happen on that field. Go and cheer on his teammates, even though it's a preseason game. That right there is telling me I just need to get the hell out of here. Eating nachos. Watch it one more time. Nachos and cheese walking into the locker room. Okay? That tells me he's checked out. It does. And he wants to go, he needs to go somewhere else. You go back to 3-4 years ago when he was drafted, all excited he became a Cowboy. Team he grew up loving. Do you think he loves them anymore? This is why they tell you if you are going to play in the NFL not to play for the team that you grew up loving. That's why they tell you that. And this isn't something I personally know. You hear it. Players go on interviews and talk about that. You hear it all the time. Don't play for the team you grew up loving. Because sometimes it doesn't pan out the way you want it to. Or think it's going to. So who knows what's going to go on with Micah Parsons out in Dallas? Who knows? Aiden O'Connell, quarterback of the Raiders, he's going to miss 6 to 8 weeks. He has a fractured wrist. Tough news for the Raiders because if their starting quarterback goes down, Aiden O'Connell's already down 6 to 8 weeks. You got to rely on your third stringer. So rough news for the Raiders right there. And the final bit of news to get into, actually two things. Number one, Carson Wentz, he officially signed with the Minnesota Vikings this morning. So now Carson Wentz, this is rough because Carson Wentz, as we know, gets drafted by the Eagles, second overall in the 2016 NFL draft, becomes the starter literally towards the back end of that year after Sam Darnold pretty much, Sam Darnold crapped to bed, Michael Vick, gone, done. Carson Wentz becomes a starter out in Philadelphia. Actually, no, he became the starter right away. That's right. Yeah, because Sam Bradford, sorry, not Darnold. Sam Bradford ended up getting booted, traded. And then Carson Wentz became the starter. Had a pretty decent rookie year. Following year, the Super Bowl season, was an MVP talent. Gets hurt in Los Angeles against the Rams towards the end of the year. In comes Nick Foles. Let's raise the trophy. We all know what happened. Philly. Left Philadelphia. Goes to Indianapolis. Leaves Indianapolis. He signed with the Rams, the Chiefs, the Vikings. Carson Wentz became a journeyman. And when he came into the league, he was bound to be one of the quarterbacks of the future. Injuries plagued him. And it was kind of a sad thing to see. It was. But now he's a Viking. So he's going to back up J.J. McCarthy. The Saints, Kellen Moore announced that he is going to decide his starting quarterback this week. Now, when you look at the room of the quarterbacks for the Saints, you got Spencer Rattler, who got drafted back in 2024, fifth round pick, 150th overall. Jake Haener, who got drafted in 2023, fourth round pick, 127th overall. And Tyler Shough, who just got drafted this year. Now, apparently, Spencer Rattler has been progressing during this preseason and kind of trying to state his case of being the starter out in New Orleans. I'm going to say this, just like Minnesota, I don't have high expectations for the Saints. I don't. So, we'll just see who starts out in New Orleans. A little bit of news coming out of college football real quick. The top 8 Heisman Trophy candidates were announced. Number 1 on the list, Arch Manning, quarterback of Texas. Number 2, Cade Klubnik, the quarterback out of Clemson. Garrett Newsmeyer, the quarterback in LSU. Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver of Ohio State. Jeremiah Love, running back of Notre Dame. Lenora Sellers, quarterback of South Carolina. Ryan Williams, wide receiver of Alabama. And Drew Aller, the quarterback from Penn State. Those are the top 8 Heisman Trophy candidates for this year. Okay. Now, with this list, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to be track keeping this. Because last week I had mentioned on the show that it surprised me that Ohio State was not the number 1 team in the nation, that Texas was, right? And it surprised me because, Ohio State went into, and I'm going to reword what I said, because I said that Ohio State went in and walloped Notre Dame in the national title game. They didn't. They only won by 11 points. Okay. And then I went and looked at the statistics. Ohio State had a better ground game, while Notre Dame had a better passing game, or vice versa. Okay. So I retract my statement. Ohio State just won. They didn't wallop them. Okay. Because a lot of people in the comment section were literally like, they didn't wallop them. They didn't. You're right. They did not. Okay. But I think Drew Aller, saying this right now, is going to have a great year out in Penn State. Do I think he's going to be a top candidate for a Heisman Trophy? Yes. I do. If he has the year he had last year, he will be. So I'm going to track keep this. I want to see and determine, because I'll admit this. The past 2 years, I reintroduced myself to college football. So I'm still kind of getting into the groove of college football in a small sense. And the one thing I want to understand is how they determine the Heisman Trophy. So I'm going to track keep, and I want to see if statistics are the main course of a Heisman Trophy winner. That's why I'm going to track keep and see if that's the main course, or if there's other things that involve the fact of them winning a Heisman Trophy. That's what I want to do. And that's what I'm going to do. So that's all we got in the news. As we know, college football week 0 started this week. Some finals coming out of college football. Iowa State ended up defeating Kansas State, number 22, Iowa State. Defeated number 17, Kansas State, 24-21. Number 25, Boise State and USF kick off on Thursday. We got a couple games that kick off this week. So there was a few college football games that happened yesterday. But as far as like your top 25 teams, Iowa State, Kansas State, it looks like that they were the The only 2 top 25 teams that played, I believe. That's what it looks like. Idaho State and UNLV. UNLV defeated Idaho State 38-31. Kansas defeated Fresno State 31-7. Western Kentucky defeated Sam Houston 41-24. And Hawaii defeated Stanford 23-20. Couple of scores coming out of week 0 in college football. Week 1 kicks off on Thursday. So exciting that the college football season has kicked off. And again, me and John are going to be starting our college football pick challenge this week, which is going to be fun to do. I can't wait to start that. Cannot wait. But I'm going to take about a 30 to 45 second break. Okay? So we'll be right back here on the Huddle Hub podcast. I laugh at the music that they provide for me to play while I give you guys the commercial break and everything like that, because it's all built-in background music that they give you on this program. And I've grown to really like this one as I play this for you guys. But if you guys are watching on Twitch right now at the Huddle Hub Podcast, you can go into the bio and all the links to all the social medias are in there for X, TikTok, and YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. If you're on all the other ones, please hit that follow button. On YouTube, hit the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything. I know when you hear the word subscription, you're thinking, oh, man, I got to pay something to watch this or not have ads or anything like that. No. That's how you follow on YouTube if you didn't know that. You just hit that subscribe button. It would definitely be appreciated. And go in and hit the follow button on all the other social medias. Because, we are trying to build this channel heading into the 2025 season for not only college football, but the NFL as well. And not only the NFL, but college football as well and beyond. So please help us build the Huddle Hub podcast. Definitely be appreciated. Appreciate you guys who are watching live today. If you're not watching live and watching the replay, appreciate that too. Thank you so much for being here. As we get into the spotlight edition of the program. Yes, we're going to spotlight all 4 of the AFC divisions, starting off with the AFC East. Okay, we're going to kick things off with the Buffalo Bills. They went 13-4 last season. They lost in the conference championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. Head coach is Sean McDermott. He's been the head coach since 2017. He's going into his 9th season. His record is 86-45, 7-7 in the playoffs. So 14 playoff games in the span of 9 years. That's not bad, but Buffalo wants to definitely get over that hump. And I don't know if you guys have been watching Hard Knocks or not, but it's been a pretty good Hard Knocks. I'm liking this Buffalo one. I really am. But my focus for 2025 for the Buffalo Bills is just to continue what they've been doing. And eventually it's going to pay off. The Buffalo Bills, as we know, have been a very, very big staple in the NFL these past couple of years, especially since Sean McDermott and Josh Allen have come along. The Bills have been phenomenally good. And thinking last year, when they changed up their receiving core with Stephon Diggs being gone, bringing in Keon Coleman, it was... a lot of people were kind of like, oh, the Bills are going to have a rough one this year. Like, this is going to be a rough season. And I was like, no, man, they're going to be good. They'll be fine. Like, they're going to be good. Don't worry. And then James Cook, having the year that he had last year, decent year last year, they got him paid this year with his contract last week. So Like I said, Buffalo, just continue doing what you're doing, and eventually it's going to pay off. Eventually it will. Focus players for Buffalo is Keon Coleman, wide receiver, and defense, Joey Bosa, the defensive end. Those are my focus players for the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins, they went 8-9 last year. Head coach is Mike McDaniel. He's been the head coach since 2022. He's going into his 4th season. Now, Mike McDaniel, since becoming the head coach, has already gotten a new contract extension. Like, the Dolphins are very invested in Mike McDaniel. His record is 28-23. He's 0-2 in the playoffs. Now, Mike McDaniel, I'm going to say this right now. I think this is going to be a year to where the Miami Dolphins are really going to consider whether they want to continue with his tutelage or not. I think Mike McDaniel, if the Dolphins are in the stance of having a very terrible season, I think Mike McDaniel ends up on the hot seat. I was thinking about this all week. Like, I get it. You extended him, but contracts, long extension contracts don't matter anymore. They don't. We've seen players literally get a contract and then the next year get traded or released. We've seen this. Same with head coaches. So I think Mike McDaniel, if this season does not pan out as well for the Dolphins, I say by mid-season, I think Mike McDaniel ends up on the hot seat. I really do. What I think the Dolphins' focus for 2025 is to protect their quarterback. We know Tua Tagovailoa has dealt with a lot of concussion problems, and that's going to be the key focus for them. I can't stress this enough. Protect your quarterback. Because if not, you're probably going to end up looking for a new one sooner than you want to. And I mean that as the fact is, if Tua deals with more concussions, he's going to be forced to retire. And you've invested so much and so little time on this kid. Protect your quarterback. My focus players on offense for the year is the offensive line. Again, protect your quarterback. I don't have any key players of focus. Your offensive line is my focus. And on defense, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I have a feeling Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be a big game changer for that Dolphins defense. The New York Jets, they went 5-12. Their head coach is Aaron Glenn. He's in his first year as the head coach for the Jets. My focus for them in 2025 is the offense being in sync from the get-go. This offense really just needs to be up to par when that ball gets kicked off against the Steelers in week 1. No questions asked. This next week and a half, the offense needs to be on the field more than the defense at practice. Get them in sync. You got yourself a quarterback who could be potentially a guy to take you to the playoffs and maybe beyond. Because Justin Fields is a good talent. He is. He's a good talent. So get this offense in sync. With that being said, Justin Fields is my offensive focus player. My defensive player is Quentin Williams. Quentin Williams, I want to see him pressure the quarterback more this year. I know he's a defensive tackle. It's not the easiest, but he's a big dude. He's strong. I think he can cut through a lot of these offensive lines and get to that quarterback. So I want to see Quentin Williams. I want to see Quentin Williams' sack number get up to at least 7 this year. I know that's a big ask from a defensive tackle, but I want to see him get up to 7. Finally, the New England Patriots, they went 4-13. Their head coach is Mike Vrabel. He's in his first year as the head coach out in New England. Now, he was the coach out in Tennessee. His record is 54-45 all time, and he's 2-3 in the playoffs all time. Okay, my focus for the Patriots this year is clock and possession management. Okay, they had some clock and management possession problems last year. I mean, you look at their statistics, and their highest receiver was the tight end in numbers. That was rough. Drake May has been showing some good promise this year in the offseason during camps. I've watched some of the videos from the Patriots camp, mini camps, preseason, and the Patriots are looking good. Whatever momentum they have right now, they need to continue that. Bring that into the season and guarantee you'll win more than 4 games this year. My focus players for the Patriots in 2025 on the offensive side is Drake May, and the defensive side is defensive end Milton Williams. So that's that for the AFC East. Okay, let's switch things over to the AFC West. Okay. The Kansas City Chiefs, they went 15-2 last year. They lost in Super Bowl 59 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Head coach is Andy Reid. He's been the head coach since 2013. He's going into his 13th season. Andy Reid has been a head coach for such a long time. And this is how long he's been a head coach, right? He was out in Philadelphia as well. His record is 273 wins, 146 losses, and 1 tie. His playoff record is 28-17. Nuts. Focus for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2025 is find key players fast. They can't always squeak by every game. We've seen the Kansas City Chiefs win a lot of one-score games last year. The year before that, they would go out there and dominate. I remember a time when Tyreek was there that literally you're watching a Chiefs game and they'd be on defense. You get up to go to the bathroom, you come back, and the Chiefs scored a touchdown on offense. I remember those days. Chiefs need to find their key players fast because right now they are dealing with a lot of personal things that may keep them from having key players on the field at the start of the season and beyond. So, offensive players are Xavier Worthy. Defensive player is Chris Jones as far as my focus is. Los Angeles Chargers, they went 11-6 last year. They lost in the wild card round to the Houston Texans. The head coach is Jim Harbaugh. He's in his second year. He's been the head coach since 2024. His all-time record is 55-25-1, and he's 5-4 in the playoffs. And you ask, how is that? Well, because he was the head coach out in San Francisco a few years back. Took the 49ers to a Super Bowl. Lost to the Ravens. Colin Kaepernick was the quarterback. Remember those days? Yeah. 2025 focus, utilize the running backs to the max. That's what I want to see the 49ers do, is utilize their running backs to the max. Christian McCaffrey is supposed to be coming back. Apparently he's healthy. He's good to go. You just got Brian Robinson Jr. Utilize your running backs. And I say that, and I literally did these. This has been ready for 3 weeks now. Okay, that's the bad part about this, is this has been ready for 3 weeks, and all of their wide receivers, something is going on. I'm not a psychic, I promise. Focus players for the Chargers, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's one where I think, if not this year, next year, if he struggles and cannot get the Chargers over the humps of things like winning key games, getting past the wild card round of the playoffs, I think Justin Herbert ends up in the hot seat by next year. Sadly enough. I do. Big name. We've seen big names fall before. So my focus defensive player is Khalil Mack. I know he's an older player, but I want to see him be a leader on that defense. The Denver Broncos went 10-7. They lost in the wild card round last year to the Buffalo Bills. Head coach is Sean Payton. He's in his third year. He's been the head coach since 2023. Okay. His all-time record is 170-105. 170-105. He was the head coach out in New Orleans a long time ago. You remember that? He's 9-9 in the playoffs. Focus offensive player is Bo Nix. Focus defensive player is Pat Surtain. And my 2025 focus is Denver. Stick to your 2024 game plan. You did some really good things last year. Build off of that. Stick to that game plan, though, because you looked good. You could probably gain 1 or 2 more wins this season, maybe 11-6, 12-5. Stick to last year's game plan, build on it a little bit, and I think the Broncos can have a little more success. They are even favored to win the AFC West this year. Can you believe that? I could. Just wait until next week with the predictions. Finally, the Raiders, they went 4-13. Head coach is Pete Carroll. He's in his first year as the Raiders head coach. Long time ago, well, not too long ago, he was the head coach out in Seattle for the Seahawks. His all-time record is 170 wins, 120 losses, and 1 tie. He's 11-11 in the playoffs, with one of those playoff wins being a Super Bowl championship. So, But the 2025 focus is play Oakland Raider football. Don't play Los Angeles. Don't play Las Vegas Raider football. Play Oakland Raider football. Smash mouth football. And I guarantee the Raiders will have a big year this year. They just got to play some smash mouth football. That's all there is to it. Focus players is Geno Smith on offense and Max Crosby on the defense. And I know you're probably thinking, like, Mike, that's obvious. Those two players is your focus players. Like, that's an obvious thing. It is. It sure is. But, you know, why won't this go away? I'm trying to eliminate my my lineup here that you guys can't see as I go along. The AFC North. Let's start off with the Baltimore Ravens, who went 12-5, and they lost in the divisional round of the playoffs last year to the Buffalo Bills. Head coach is John Harbaugh. He's been the head coach since 2008. 18th season as the head coach out in Baltimore. His all-time record is 172 wins, 104 losses. He's 13-11 in the playoffs. My focus for them this year is stay healthy, and the defense has to cause more pressure. We've seen their defense a lot last year have some problems with pressuring. So their defense needs to pressure heavily. Focus players are Lamar Jackson on offense and Odafe Oweh, the edge rusher, on defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they went 10-7 last year. They lost in the wild card round to the Baltimore Ravens. Head coach is Mike Tomlin. He's been the head coach since 2007, so he's going into his 19th season. His record all time is 183, 107, and 2. 183 wins, 107 losses, and 2 ties. Okay, he's 8-11 in playoffs. Focus for 2025 is protect Aaron Rodgers at all cost. Right now, you look at the quarterback room for the Steelers, and beyond Aaron Rodgers, you got a bunch of young guys who don't have a lot of playing. I mean, Mason Rudolph, he has some playing time. We know that. I mean, he had that miraculous thing where he helped the Steelers get to the playoffs a year or two ago. The thing is you protect Aaron Rodgers. Yes, we've seen the movements of Aaron Rodgers in practice. We've seen the videos come out. If you protect him enough, he doesn't need to move around the pocket. You just got to make sure his arm works. That's it. And he's standing up. You protect that, you can have some success. He doesn't need to run around. He doesn't need to move out of the pocket. And if you protect him well enough, there you go. He could stand still and throw the ball 65 yards downfield. And if you have a wide open DK Metcalf, there you go. Touchdown. Off to the races. That's it. Protect Aaron Rodgers at all costs. Focus players is the offensive line. Defense is Joey Porter Jr. I want to see Joey Porter Jr. have a big year this year. He had a big one last year. I want to see him have another one this year. Cincinnati Bengals, they are 9 and they went 9-8 last year. Zach Taylor is the head coach. Been since 2019. He's in his 7th season as the head coach out in Cincinnati. His record is 46 wins, 52 losses, and 1 tie. So he has more losses than wins. That's crazy. I mean, you got to think, though, he's been the head coach since 2019. Joe Burrow came along in 2020. So when you look at it, and I just want to pull this up for a second. Okay. I just want to look at what their record was in 2019. The Bengals went 2-14. Okay. So you got to think 14 of his 52 losses were without Joe Burrow. Okay. Now let's look at their record in 2020. Okay. 4-11-1. 4-11-1. So there you go. 12 2019 and 2020 is where he pretty much suffered half of his losses. The rest of them just came in due time. Last year, 9 and 8 losses. The year before that. So he's 46, 52, and 1. He's 5 and 2 in the playoffs. So pretty successful playoff record. Made it to one Super Bowl. Lost to the Rams. And that was the year the Rams won at home. 2025 focus is defense. Defense is the big focus. With Trey Hendrickson being there, with Trey Hendrickson possibly being gone, the defense should be the big focus. Because Trey Hendrickson right now, and we're going to talk about Trey Hendrickson before we close things out, okay? I did come across something about Trey Hendrickson that I want to kind of discuss real quick, but there's a possibility he's gone. So you're going to need to really focus on that defense if he's gone. They're already the focus now with him not being at practice. He's in the building. Why? Because he's pulling one of these.
I'm here so I won't get fined.
Pretty much it. Focus players are T. Higgins and defense is B.J. Hill. Cleveland Browns 3-14 last year. Head coach is Kevin Stefanski. He's been the head coach since 2020. He's in his 6th season. His all-time record is 40-44. So 40 wins, 44 losses. He's 1-2 in the playoffs. Remember that? They beat the Steelers in the playoffs? Yeah, I remember that. Then they went on to play the Chiefs and they lost. A lot of people thought Cleveland were going to go into Kansas City and surprise them. It didn't happen. That didn't happen. The 2025 focus for the Cleveland Browns for me is take chances. They lost 7 games by 1 score. Okay? Now think of that. They lost 7 games last year by 1 score. They went 3-14. So if you add 7 wins to the other 3, that's 10 wins. They would have won 10-7 last year if they would have won those 1-score games. They could have been in the playoffs. It could have been them instead of the Steelers. It could have been. That would have been crazy. My focus players for the Browns is the offensive line and the defensive line. That's it. It's all in the trenches for them. So, I mean, I know that's where it all starts, but, you know. Final focus is the AFC South. Okay, let's start off with the Texans, the Houston Texans. They went 10-7, lost in the divisional round of the playoffs to the Kansas City Chiefs. DeMeco Ryan is the head coach. He's been since 2023. He's going into his 3rd season. He's 20-14. 20 wins, 14 losses. So that's a good record. 2-2 in the playoffs. Pretty much defense needs to step up this year. They had a bad year last year. That defense needs to step up. Focus players is C.J. Stroud. On offense is Sheldon Rankins on defense. Those are my focus players. For the Indianapolis Colts, they went 8-9 last year. Shane Steichen is the head coach. He's been since 2023. It's his 3rd season. He's 17-17. 17 wins, 17 losses. No other head coach has a record like that. 17-17. So he's at 500 as far as wins and losses. It's like he's meeting the criteria. Okay? But here's the thing. Is just like 17-17. Crazy. Just like the Browns, I'm going to say this right now. They got to take chances. That's the focus for them as well. They lost 7 games by 1 score. It's just like the Browns. Lost 7 1-score games last year. Now, just think of that. You're 8-9. The Colts were 8-9. All right? They lost 7 1-score games. If they win those 7 1-score games, you know what the Colts record is? 15-2. Anthony Richardson would be the starter this year. There'd be no question on that. Instead, they went 8-9. They lost 7 one-score games, and Anthony Richardson is not the starting quarterback. Wow. But if they win those one-score games, they're 15-2, go to the playoffs. If they're better than all the AFC teams, maybe made a Super Bowl. Anthony Richardson be the starting quarterback. No questions asked. That's nuts. They would have been 15-2. Maybe home field advantage. So take chances. Because if you do, you win those one-score games just like Kansas City. You go 15-2. There you go. Focus players, Daniel Jones on offense, and I picked a second offensive player, Jonathan Taylor, the running back. And on defense, DeForest Buckner. DeForest Buckner, I'm not saying he fell off, but you haven't heard his name a lot since leaving San Francisco. So I want to hear his name more. I do. Jacksonville Jaguars, they went 4-13 last year. Okay? Liam Cohen is the new head coach, 2025. It's his first season. Yes, Liam Cohen.
Duval.
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 I don't expect a lot from Jacksonville. I don't. The moves they made this year did not make me sit here thinking Jacksonville is going to turn things around this year. You know, John said to me that he thinks Jacksonville is going to surprise me this year. Maybe to the fact that they make the playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah. Playoffs, coach. I don't think so. Focus players are Trevor Lawrence and defense Eric Armstead. I don't expect a lot from Jacksonville. Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan is the head coach. He's been since 2024. It's his second season. Titans went 3-14. That's Brian Callahan's record. In 2025, just have a healthy season. I don't expect a lot from Tennessee either. I don't. Just have a healthy season. Focus players, Van Jefferson on offense, the wide receiver. Sebastian Joseph Day, the defensive end on defense. Those are my focus players. It kind of sucks that I have to end this on like that somber note, right? That little somber note. It's like, Mike, why did you have to end with the AFC South then? Why? No, you know. Because I did. You know. So Trey Hendrickson, you know, he's obviously been in the news. And there have been a lot of trade rumors. This past week about Trey Hendrickson. Sorry, I'm trying to do something here. Okay. So there's been a lot of trade rumors going around for Trey Hendrickson. There's a couple landing spots for Trey Hendrickson. And I'm going to say this right now. Cincinnati, why are you not paying this man? Led the league in sacks last year. I mean, it should be a foregone conclusion that you should be re-signing Trey Hendrickson. Pay the man. But instead, you are listening to trade offers for him. And these are the teams that they're listening to trade offers from. Well, these are potential destinations for Trey Hendrickson. Number 1, the Detroit Lions. Number 2, the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4, the Buffalo Bills. Number 5, the New England Patriots. Number 6, the Atlanta Falcons. Number 7, the Carolina Panthers. Okay? I could see him going to either Detroit, Philadelphia, or Buffalo. Those are the 3 teams I could see him going to. Why? Because they are Super Bowl contenders. and he wants to win a championship. What player doesn't want to win a championship? But Trey Hendrickson wants to win a championship, and the Bills, the Eagles, and the Lions are the three teams that are kind of right there. The Lions, I think the Lions are going to have a little bit of a fall down this year. I don't think they're going to do as good as they did last year. I don't. So if I had to narrow it down to two teams, Buffalo and Philadelphia. Why? Because Buffalo is favored to win the AFC, and the Eagles are favored to repeat. And he wants to hoist a Lombardi trophy. So I see Trey Hendrickson, if anything, going to Buffalo or Philadelphia. I do. But I'm going to say this right now, Cincinnati just needs to pay him. They need to pay him and get his contract done. They would be foolish to not do so. Now, I know there's, Steelers and fans and Ravens fans and Browns fans out there like, no, trade him. We don't want to deal with him for two times a year. Well, the Bengals need to work on their defense fast, and he's a big key part of that because we kick things off in a week and a half. Okay? So my word of advice, and yeah, my word isn't that big, but Cincinnati, I'm going to say this right now. You are taking trade offers for Trey Hendrickson. Stop it and pay the man. That's all I got to say. Stop it and pay the man. Lock him up. That's all I got for you guys today. If you want to follow me on social media, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat, MetalMike714 is where you can find me. As far as other podcasts throughout the week, over on Rivet City Radio's Twitch and Off the Top Media's YouTube channel will be another episode of The Table Spot tomorrow night, right after Monday Night Raw. Well, tomorrow afternoon after Monday Night Raw, because Monday Night Raw is at, I believe, 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They are overseas right now getting ready for their Clash at the Castle or Clash in Paris pay-per-view. So me and Cam will be live right after Monday Night Raw goes off the air. So it'll be about 5:30, but Rivet City Radio's Twitch, Off the Top Media's YouTube channel. And then again on Wednesday night for the Boom right after AEW Dynamite, as it is going to be the fallout from their pay-per-view that happens in about 30 minutes, which is Forbidden Door. So come join us over there. With that being said, me and John will be back next week for the Huddle Hub Podcast prediction show. We are going to predict how we think every team is going to do this NFL season. And we are even going to give you our playoff predictions and who will ultimately be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. Okay, so with that being said, guys, thank you for joining me today. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Make sure you head over to all the social medias and hit the follow button on X, TikTok, and on Twitch. On YouTube, hitting that subscribe button. Appreciate everybody checking the show out today. Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all next week, unless there's any breaking news. We'll be back next week. Following shows you if I go live because of breaking news. All right. Have a good one, guys. Deuces.